Hello my friends, welcome to episode 1 of Finish It. Last year I did a self-destructing TBR every month in order to read through my unread shelf. That was really productive. I feel like it was very successful and I had a lot of fun doing it. But I knew I didn't want to continue it into 2024. And what I noticed towards the end of last year is that I was in the middle of a lot of series, which I feel like is a really common observation, complaint, lament here on BookTube. But it's a thing. And I wanted to focus this year more on making progress in the series that I've started, especially the series that I started and then kind of forgot about. I have a video that I did last year going through my story graph and looking at all the series that I have started and then kind of forgot I had started. I want to make progress on those. So Finish It is going to be a, I think, bi-monthly series where I finish a series in each video. I might make it every month. We'll see how much work it's going to take. We'll see how lengthy some of these series are that I need to finish. Some of them are duologies. Some of them I only have one book left. Some of them I have multiple books. I'm kind of going to take it one series at a time. Episode 2 probably will be in March because there is a middle grade series that I need to finish, and March is middle grade March, so it aligns pretty perfectly. But for episode 1, I am going to be finishing the London Celebrity series by Lucy Parker. So this is a contemporary romance series that is set around the West End Theatre District in London. And it is pretty traditional romance series where each book is a different couple and can be read as standalones. But if you read them out as standalones, then you'll get minor spoilers for which couples exist in this world. But I absolutely love this series. I love Lucy Parker. She is one of the few authors who writes legitimate rom-coms. I know there are a lot of books that like to say they're rom-coms but fail at actually being funny, and Lucy Parker for me is laugh out loud funny. Every book in this series is some variation on enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers. And everybody is involved in the theater scene in some way or the other. Book 1 is Act Like It, and this is really a Pride and Prejudice retelling. We have two actors. One is grumpy, one is a sunshine. They don't get along. There's a little bit of an age gap in this one as well. And I will say Act Like It is probably my least favorite of the series so far. Though it's one of those where I feel like now that I am a big fan of Lucy Parker's humor, sometimes I wonder if I went back and reread it, if I would enjoy it more. Who has time for that? Book 2 is Pretty Face. And Pretty Face is a romance between an actress and a director. And this one does get into a weird power imbalance dynamic. It didn't bother me too much, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But I really like the character work for these two and how they grow to understand each other. And then book 3 is called Making Up, and this is a romance between a circus performing artist, I believe she does trapeze if I remember correctly, and a special effects designer. And this is one of the ones where I remember it really fondly, but it definitely hasn't stayed as forefront in my mind. It's not as memorable. Like, even though I don't have as fond memories of reading Act Like It, it definitely sticks out in my mind the most. And I don't know if that's because it's the first Lucy Parker I ever read, or if there's just something about those characters that really sinks in. Also, most of the couples that we see in these books are minor characters in other books, and I think Making Up was the first one where we really didn't meet these two previously. And then the Jane Austen playbook is book 4, and this is romance is between an actress and a theater critic. This is the one that's set at the estate, where Freddie is there rehearsing for a play that's going to be performed on the estate, and then Griff, the theater critic, is his family owns the estate. And this, so far, is my favorite of the bunch. I loved the set. I loved the characters. I loved the family drama that was revealed. It was so good. Just excellent. Peak rivals to lovers vibes. I just loved everything about it. It was so fantastic. So for this video, I am going to be wrapping up this series by reading headliners. And this one is about, this is the first book that doesn't have anyone who is in the theater community involved. This one is about Sabrina and Nick, who are rival TV show hosts. Think like Good Morning America, The Today Show, that style of TV show. And Sabrina is the sister of Freddie from Jane Austen playbook, and we have seen both Nick and Sabrina in multiple books at this point. They're referenced, I think, in pretty much every single book. Nick and Sabrina do not like each other, as we would come to expect from a Lucy Parker book. But I am really excited to read this. Like I said, I love Lucy Parker's sense of humor. I love her character dynamic. I love how she writes tension. I got the audiobook also from Hoopla because I absolutely love puzzle. Hey, can you not? Can you let go? I love the narrator. I don't know that I could just read a Lucy Parker anymore. I have to listen to the audiobook because the narrator gets the style and the sense of humor so wonderfully. Anyways, I did start this last night. I'm only a little bit in 40 pages, and the setup for this is that Nick made a bit of a professional stumble. He was caught on video being very critical of the new owner of the station that he works for. And Sabrina is also in hot water because of the family scandal that Freddie uncovers in her book. And so even though that scandal is not Sabrina's fault, it is putting her in the spotlight in a negative way. And so the network or station tells them that if they want to keep their jobs, they are going to have to co-host the morning show. And the morning show has abysmal ratings. So their task is they basically have a month to improve the ratings for this morning show. And if they can do it, then they get to keep their jobs and have their contracts renewed. And if they don't do it, then they are out of a job. So that is what we're going with. And the beginning of this book has basically, it opens with the audio for the video that Nick is featured in. And you get the meeting of them finding out what is going to be expected of them, and then they have just had they're in the middle of their first day working at this morning talk show. It's fun, it's light, it's peak escapist reading, and I am so excited to finally be finishing this series. Also sad. I've been reading this series for a long time just because I love it so much that I've really pumped the brakes on finishing it out. But I will update you when I'm about halfway through and we can talk more about how it's going. I am not halfway through headliners, but I just wanted to say, I don't know what kind of time warp I fall into when I read Lucy Parker, but I sat down to listen to this audiobook for a little bit today, and the next thing I know I've read like 50 pages. And it's just flown by. I feel like I've been sitting down for 5 minutes, and in fact it had been like an hour. So yeah, I don't know what kind of black hole time machine stuff she has going on in her books, but it just, it really works for me. I'm only about 100 pages in, and I'm liking it a lot. This one, we don't spend as much in the enemy to lovers situation. It fades pretty quickly. They're still pretty antagonistic towards each other. Nick did something in the previous book that has put him on Sabrina's shit list. So he obviously like has to claw his way back from that. And he hasn't started to yet, but I can see that section is about to start. Yeah, it's about to start. So yeah, that's your update. I will wait and be patient until I've read about another 100 pages, and I'll let you know how it's going. Okay, I overshot a little bit, and now I'm over 50% of the way through, but I just couldn't put it down last night. I was so hooked in. I basically read until my eyelids could not stay open anymore. But let's talk about it. Okay, I think Lucy Parker is so good at writing tension and the gradual building of tension, because in chapter 1, it's obvious that they don't like each other, but there's not anything else there. And then just as things happen and truths get revealed and they're put more into proximity with each other and they're more honest with each other and the trust starts to build, then the attraction starts to build, and she's so good at it. And so you're just like, oh, she just turns everything a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter until you get to where they kiss for the first time, and I was about ready to scream because I was so ready for them to just kiss. It's so good. She's so good at it. They're still not together, but that's okay. That's okay. They have a lot of stuff. So the paparazzi plays a pretty big role in the whole series because all the main characters are varying levels of theater famous. And so there's a little bit of a paparazzi aspect, but this is the first book where 2 of the characters are like TV personalities. They are literally, legitimately celebrities in a way that I didn't feel like some of the other couples were. And so the paparazzi aspect is really pronounced, and it just reinforces like how toxic the paparazzi are. And I just want these 2 to be able to admit they have feelings for each other and to bang it out. The stupid paparazzi are camped outside their house, and so they can't just live their lives. And I don't like it. But I love the book. I love the book. It's so good. She is such a comfort for me to read because I think she's so funny. And I love her characters, and I love the way she incorporates past characters into this book. And I just don't know why nobody has adapted a Lucy Parker book into a rom-com. Like a legit, like 90s, early 2000s rom-com. They would be so good. I don't know why. I don't know why we're not making rom-coms like that anymore, but I would eat this up. So that's where I am. They're not together, but they've kissed a couple times. They've acknowledged that they are in fact attracted to each other. They're starting to trust each other a little more. There are some hijinks going on because they think that somebody is trying to sabotage the morning show. And so there's a lot of like comedy of errors stuff happening on set. Nothing super serious, but things that make them look like they are incompetent at doing their job, which is not good considering both of their jobs are currently on the line. So not what we want. I'm going to keep reading. I think I'll finish it tomorrow. We'll see. I just love it so much. Okay, that's it. Bye. All right, this is a less than ideal angle, but I can't be bothered to go and get my tripod. I've finished Headliners. It was so delightful. I think I have probably gushed about Lucy Parker enough in this video, but I just love that we have two characters who are adults, like fully adults, and have careers and have their own lives, and just the way that they make space for each other. I love that they don't want children. Sabrina has a goddaughter and Nick has a niece, and they both greatly adore the children in their lives but have zero desire to have their own children in their houses. And I really like when romance kind of gets away from that baby epilogue, which is super common. And obviously I love kids, but I don't believe that you need to have children to have a family. So I always love it when romance kind of, gets away from that a little bit, and that the conversation about whether or not they're going to have kids or were interested in having kids was super casual and not a big deal. They didn't make a big fuss about it. Super casual and quiet conversation. I think probably the pacing in this book is a little off because it feels like a very lighthearted read, and then all of a sudden there's a lot of drama happening all at once, which might happen in all of these books, but I can't remember for certain. And there's a moment where it could go the route of miscommunication and become a much bigger deal than it actually is, but they're honest and they communicate and they don't hide anything and acknowledge their feelings, and it's just so nice. I love it. I'm so happy to have completed the series. Also a little sad. I have one more Lucy Parker book that I haven't read, her newest release, but other than that, I am very sad to say I am pretty much caught up with her backlist. But I really liked having an excuse to push me to finish the series that I've been putting off for a really long time. So I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Finish It, and I hope you pick up this series as well if you haven't already. Steam scale wise, these books do get steamy. You do have to wait a while to get to it. It's not like a Katie Robert or an old school Christina Lauren where there's spice right out of the gate. Like, there is intimacy, emotional intimacy between the characters before any of that stuff happens. I hope, like I was saying, I hope that this encourages you to pick up the series because I really do hold it near and dear to my heart. And I hope you liked this first episode of my new series. And if you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, let's do some sort of explosion or firework or dynamite emoji, which will make sense if you read the book, if you've read the book. And I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye.